I'm really happy for this roadmap. I was really happy to see some of the changes. I know Varies and I had been talking a little bit about the trailing, or like an ROI feature on the Explorer, and you kind of had mentioned that in your roadmap. Um, so
Mhm.
the next question I have for you is, what how do you see calculating ROI, and what do you want to what do you believe the outcome should be from that?
Yeah, so ROI is a really interesting one because it's kind of tricky to calculate in the context of Livepeer. Specifically, future ROI future ETH ROI is basically impossible to calculate because there is like, unless you can predict demand, you can predict uptime, and you can't really get a comprehensive view of what a given orchestrator's earnings are going to look like. However, what you can do
Feel that.
is do trailing ROI and say, okay, over the last 30 days or 60 days, is what has the ROI been for a given amount of stake? Even that is a little bit fraught because by adding that stake, like if you can imagine, like Orchestrator 1 has 100 LPT staked, has been receiving a certain amount of work, or has been receiving a certain amount of fees, so on and so forth. And then you like want to display to a delegator, okay, what happens if you had staked 100 LPT to that orchestrator? Well, that's a little bit tricky because stake influences stream distribution, right? So the best you can really do in terms of that sort of calculation is to make some reasonable assumptions and try to get a very good approximation of what it would look like. And so I think that's generally how we'll approach it. I think one of the most important things to note here is that once we have settled on an exact calculation, and I think that we're generally going to aim for just reasonable assumptions and about what that would look like. We do want to start ordering orchestrators by ETH ROI in particular. And I think the value there is that if you dig into the protocol incentives, really delegators who are profit maximizing should seek out orchestrators who are high call, low stake, high performing. And ETH ROI is really the best reflection of that. And we want to encourage delegators to choose orchestrators that are meaningfully contributing to the protocol. And so there should be a bit of a balancing effect there. Does that answer your question, Titan?
Yeah, absolutely. I just like to hear the thought process behind it.